Hey, everybody, this is Captain Yeet here for you, celebrating the 17th anniversary of 2009's Swords. So let's get into it. This is not my gameplay. This gameplay was specifically made by the YouTuber XD Playground of all the boss fights on the frontiers. This is not my gameplay. This is made by the YouTuber XD Playground of all the boss fights on the frontiers. I'll put the video link in the pinned comment. So let's get back into 2009's Swords. I honestly don't remember how I got this movie at all. I don't remember like a specific moment to where I opened it up on my birthday or it was like Christmas and I got it on Christmas. I was just rummaging through the DVDs one day when I was a kid and I just found a box of Swords. I really don't remember who bought this movie and how we got it, but I just opened up the box, looked at the box art, it looked really cool. You see Toby, the main character, holding up this colorful rock that's glowing, all these random characters in the background behind him. I was like, you know what? I guess I'll watch this. I got nothing else to do, so I guess I'll watch it. The very first time I watched it, I was by myself, and then after that, every single time I rewatched the movie, I was always with my little sister. And this movie, it wasn't too bad to me. It's not the best movie in the world, but I thought the movie was pretty funny. I did like the concept of having this colorful rock that you can make any type of wish on it. And the reason why this movie is called Swords is because the movie is chopped up into wolf swords. Like at the beginning of the movie, after we see those two random kids like doing the staring contest, and they keep doing the staring contest throughout the movie too. And the staring contest gets interrupted by their mom whenever she like snaps in their face in the beginning of the movie, and then they just keep doing another staring contest like round two, and we just see them every now and again in the background, just staring at each other, and they don't blink at all, no matter what. I mean, yeah, at the end of the first round, they were literally like splashing stuff in their faces, nothing. Like nothing. The sister does lose though. The sister does lose the staring contest at the end of the movie when all that chaos was going on, everybody making their wishes and fighting each other. But back to what I was saying before, the movie is chopped up into different sorts and there's different storylines in the movie. And the reason why it's like that is Toby, he's the main character. So he's like narrating what's going on. And since everything that was going on was just so wacky and crazy of all these wishes, he kind of forgets the order. And so he'll start to talk about like, the experience with well, he doesn't obviously know what happened specifically to his mom and dad, but we'll see like the storyline of his mom and dad going to the party of their boss's house. And then he's like, wait a second. No, 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 no. It actually this happened before that. And then we'll see like the little pause and rewind pop up on the TV. So we'll rewind to like, Luigi finding a rock at first with his brothers. And then he was like, wait a second, no, let's do this instead. And we'll like, we just skip around. And any time that we'll run into the regular plot. Like, Luigi and his brothers found the rock at first, so we see that storyline. And then if we have to find something that happened before that, we'll watch that. And then whenever we go forward to see that storyline that we already watched, we'll just fast forward past that. So honestly, the timeline isn't really that confusing in the movie. They could have just had the movie play out regularly without cutting it up into swords. I mean, I know it was like a unique way to do the movie to cut it up into swords and have it rewind and fast forward and stuff and Toby narrating, but it's not really that confusing. Obviously, I guess to Toby it is really confusing because, like I said, by the end of the movie, it's just chaos. It's just chaos and pandemonium going on with all these wishes and stuff. But still, it's not really that hard or confusing to follow along with each storyline. How like each storyline has the wishing rock. Because at the end of each storyline, the wishing rock just keeps getting thrown or tossed around to different persons, and they keep trying to get it back to make wishes. By the end of the movie, they have to wish the wishing rock away, which always kind of not irked me, but I always thought there was going to be a Swords 2 because they do mention that in the well, okay, let me get to this point. In the beginning of the movie, we just see this super bad storm. Like this storm is going crazy, and we see a rock fall down from the sky. It's just out of the blue, a rock fall down from the sky, and it's rainbow colored. And then Luigi and his brothers go outside and go to find a rock. Well, not specifically to find a rock, they're just going outside to play, but they find a rock, and whenever they're making wishes, his brothers are like, hey, Luigi, don't make too many wishes because we don't really know the rules yet. So he does ask for the instructions, and this gigantic book pops out. And I wonder what kind of rules that this had because I was thinking specifically about like Aladdin. Remember, the genie had like a few specific rules about the wishes, but they were just making wishes constantly, and nothing really. Well, I mean, now I wouldn't say that backfired. A few things that backfired because with this wishing rock, you kind of had to be Pacific sometimes, and other times you didn't have to be Pacific, which was kind of weird because whenever Havelica, whenever she wished for her cast to come off, and also when Toby asked for that too, whenever they both wished for that, their cast just came off, but the arms were fine. I mean, obviously, if you think if I wish my cast to come off, their arms are going to be healed, that makes sense. But yeah, you would think so. But in other moments, you have to be specific because whenever Nose asks for the ability to fly, it turned him into a bird. You remember that? So sometimes you have to be really specific. Other times you don't have to be specific. But since we had that gigantic book of instructions, I always thought, I wonder what specific rules you have to do with the Wissing Rock. And obviously, they didn't really want to read a gigantic book, so they asked for the shorter version and they just give them a fortune cookie. I almost said a Wissing cookie, but I gave them a fortune cookie that just said, make a wish. And the baby, their baby sister, Loogie's baby sister, gets super smart after he wishes for one of them to be smart. And at the end of the movie, she says that we've been making The Rock mad because we've been going against some of his rules. And I'm like, what are the rules? We don't know. I was a kid. I was wondering that. And whenever the Wissing Rock gets like sent away by them, whenever they had to hold hands with their germs and stuff, they see a rainbow going way that way. And Toby goes, I mean, not wish, but I hope somebody else treats The Rock better than we did. I was like, I mean, nobody was really doing anything bad besides from the grown-ups a tiny bit. Not even the grown-ups with an S. It was really just the dad, Havilica's dad. It was really just him making some bad wishes, I guess. But I was like, I wonder what the instructions are. He says, I hope somebody else uses it better. I'm like, oh, we're getting the swords too? No, we never get that, which really sucks. I would love to see a swords too. But yeah, that really sucks, man. Another, like I said before, the main character is Toby. I do want to get into some Havilica stuff, but one thing I do want to mention before I get into that is in the beginning of the movie, we find out that Toby doesn't really have any friends at all. And so one of his first wishes he makes with the Wishing Rock, whenever he finds it, is that he wishes he has some friends. And whenever he wishes that, well, no, he says he wishes he has friends that are just as unique as him. And whenever that happens, a bunch of these tiny aliens come down. And then, fast forward, some shenanigans happen, and he breaks both his arms by accident, and Havilica's too, and he's in the hospital. And we see those aliens on top of the windowsill looking down at him. And one alien was like, "Oh man, he wished for friends. Maybe we should abduct him. Maybe we should abduct him and bring him back home." The other alien's like, "Nah, we can't do that. He's not advanced as us yet. And besides, he has friends all around him. He just doesn't know it yet." I always liked that line. Even as a kid, I liked whenever he said that, which is true. All the kids in his classroom, he does become friends. Well, not all the kids he becomes friends with, but most of them, like Loogie, Havelica, the brothers and stuff. He does become friends with most of them. By the end of the movie, you see them all walking out into the sunset with their newfound friendship, which is really nice. Havelica is the daughter of Mr. Black. He makes the black box. That's like a device in this movie we constantly see. Toby's mom and dad works in the black box company, and the black box is kind of broken. That'd be kind of crazy if we had the black box today. It's like this giant Rubik's cube that's black, and it can do anything. And I mean anything. Like it's literally just a black box, right? You can transform it into a phone. You can like morph it around into a baby monitor and a fan and this. And they're like, yeah, it's like, yeah, I'm being dead serious. You can do all that with this black box. Like, does that not sound crazy? That is so crazy. We saw someone turn it into a megaphone. Like a megaphone. That is so wild, man. That actually existed. That'd be such a crazy device. I don't know how he's not like a trillionaire. He does say that there's like two other competitors with his black box, just like a Rubik's cube, never, purple pyramid, and like a silver cylinder. But remember, Toby's mom said that those are like cheap knockoffs that aren't even comparable to the black box. He goes, yes, that's true, but you can see how they're still gaining popularity and sales. I'm like, how? They're a cheap knockoff. They can't do half of the stuff the black box does. I don't know how they're even competing with the black box. It's a little confusing to me. I don't know how that happens, but I guess that's whatever. Back to what I was saying. Oh no, no, the dad he is kind of evil. Any little kind of talk back he gets, he fires you instantly. He just wants to make more and more money. He's pretty bad. But back to what I was saying with Angelica, she's basically a goth Helga. I was gonna say Angelica. She doesn't act like Angelica. She's like a Helga in this universe. She likes Toby, but she doesn't really know how to show it, so she kind of bullies him with her brother. And some of her brother's fans is always grabbing Toby and throwing him into her trash can. That was kind of funny whenever she gets tossed off her like rocket bike. I don't know how Toby caught up with her. Remember when she drove away on the rocket? I'm like, how did he catch up? That made no sense. I don't know how he caught up with her, but she got flown off her rocket bike and got thrown into a trash can. He goes, huh, would you look at that? Like, he's so happy just seeing her get thrown into a trash can, just like him every day. That was hilarious. But besides from that, like I said, she's just basically a Helga of the universe. She does go a little bit too far sometimes. She was kind of walling out whenever she got really mad at Toby for hitting her by accident, and she went to go eat a fish in the classroom. That's like the only friend he had before he started to make actual friends, Toby. So to get back at him, she literally took the fish out of the fish tank in the classroom and put it in her mouth. Like what? And I'm like, you gotta eat this fish? That's kind of crazy, isn't it? Like, she literally took the fish out and put it into her mouth. Also, you could tell that she likes him because whenever he mentions that, like, you bully me every day because you like me, her eyes get really big. And then halfway through the movie, whenever we get the storyline with Toby's mom and dad going to a party at the boss's house and they wish to be closer, their bodies morph together, so they have to like work together and to figure out how to get the rock back. But right before the party, Helvetica holds Toby. And in my mind as a kid, even now, I was like, how the heck did he get his number? Maybe she hacked it or something because there's no way by that point in the movie he would just give it to her because they were arguing and stuff. How did she get the number? I don't know. Even Loogie called him and he was like, I never call you. Yeah, how'd you get the number? I don't know how you got the number. But when he was on the phone with Helvetica, she was like, so you coming to the party? Uh, no. And she looked kind of disappointed, but she was trying to act all tough on the phone. She goes, wait a second, before you hang up, have you told your parents about me? What? It's like, no. And she looked pretty upset about that. He goes, oh, I'm supposed to tell my parents. Hey, mom, hey, dad, there's this girl at school that bullies me every day and throws me to a trash can. Yeah, that's amazing. Like, what? It's like, so stupid. That was so stupid. When Toby threw the rock, whenever Angelica, he didn't need to say, "Give me back my wishing rock." He didn't need to say that. He could have just said, "Give me back my rock." I don't know why he said that. But whenever all the shenanigans happened at the party, and he had the rock, and Angelica was like, "Give it back to me," she said, "No." He just threw it. He threw it like 10 miles that way. I was like, "What are you doing? You did not need to throw the wishing rock. You could have just ran away." I mean, maybe she could have caught up to him. Maybe he noticed he's faster. I don't know, maybe, but he did not need to throw it. I thought that was kind of dumb. That was really dumb. One thing I do want to mention also is whenever we get into that one storyline about halfway through the movie, almost near the end of the movie, whenever we get to Nose like family. I remember Toby said that Nose, him and Nose used to be somewhat friends, and then they fell off because his dad figured out what germs were, and he started freaking out, and he started to put on hazmat suits. Him and his son never go outside anymore. And I'm like, oh, okay, so that's why they lost touch. But Nose was like, you never came to visit me. I'm like, Toby kind of told a different story, but I guess that's true. He could have came to visit him, so that's why he was kind of mad. But in that storyline, Nose, he likes to pick his nose and eat his boogers, which is really disgusting. Even as a kid, I thought that was nasty. But he put his booger into his dad's machine, and then he makes a wish with the wishing rock that makes his booger come to life in like this gigantic monster, like basically the tar monster from Scooby Doo 2, Monsters and Leaves, but it's a giant booger. That did kind of creep me out as a kid because it just looks so nasty. And it's a booger monster. I'm like, that whole big thing is a booger. That is so nasty. I was like, oh, don't touch me. Like, I just thinking like if I was in that world or inside the house whenever that was happening. I was like, oh, what if it touches you? It's so slimy and nasty. And Toby even put his hand inside of it to get the wishing rock. I'm like, ugh, like that part, like the monster itself freaked me out. I was kind of scared of it. I was also disgusted because it's a giant booger. That is just so nasty, man. That was nasty. I don't know how the booger stayed alive because by the end of the movie, all the wishes get reversed. But then we see like it's not an after credit scene, but during like the main credits when we're seeing like all the main characters of the movie, we see the booger being kidnapped by the aliens. I'm like, what? All the wishes were reversed, so why is the booger monster still alive? That didn't make too much sense to me, but I guess that's whatever. I guess whatever. He's just still alive for whatever reason. Also with the what was it, the Toby's sister? I remember she wished for her boyfriend or her ex-boyfriend to grow up. And whenever she did that, he started to actually grow up into like a giant. And that scene kind of freaked me out too, because we don't see him until the very end of the movie in his giant form. But when he's on the phone, she goes, I wish you can grow up. He goes, what? What do you, oh, my hand! Oh my goodness, my body, my body! I'm like, yo, what's happening? Like in my mom, like, okay, I guess he's growing into a giant, but he was like spazzing out on the phone. I was like, what is going on? That was getting me kind of nervous as a kid whenever I was listening to that. But with all this like shenanigans going on with The Rock going here, over there, over here. Oh, it's an ad. I gotta pause it. Sorry. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. So, of all these storylines going on with The Rock going over here, over there, and also just with all the random wishes they keep making, eventually by the end of the movie, all the kids start to fight against each other for The Rock. So they keep making random wishes. Like I said, no wishes he could fly, and he turns into a bird. That one kid wishes for like super long arms. Angelica wishes for invisibility. Like they keep fighting each other, running around the city. Well, not the city, running around the town because they live in a town for the Rock, and eventually the dad of Havilica gets it, the guy that's making the black box, and whenever he gets it, he he wishes to be the most powerful person in the world, the powerful thing, and it turns himself into a giant robotic black box, like I guess like a giant robot version of the black box, and he starts rampaging throughout the city. And so Havilica wishes to be a giant wasp, and see what was her thing? A male stuffing, because he was like wasps like grab males and shove them down into like the honeycomb thing. Not honeycomb, they're not bees, but shove them down into the honeycomb thingy. And like she does the Toby. I'm like, what? Okay. But yes, he's fighting her dad. And like everybody makes a wish to fight the dad. And I did like that scene a lot as a kid. I used to think to myself different scenarios of what I would do in that scenario. I was like, okay, if I had to help out in the fight, I would grab the rock and be like, I wish for the powers of Ben 10 or the wish for the powers of whoever to like jump him. I always I had super strength or something like that. I used to love thinking about what I would do if I was in that situation to help out in the fight against the dad. But then, like I said, the baby comes in and saying that we've been messing up the rules, even though we don't know what the rules are. I don't know, you don't know what the rules are, but messing up the rules, and they have to wish the Risen Rock away and to go somewhere else for someone else to wish for it. I always thought that was a really cool concept, though. I always wish we got a Swords too, but sadly we didn't. I don't think this movie probably didn't make a lot. Like I said, I mean, I can see now. Obviously, as a kid, I thought this was amazing. I just rewatched the movie an hour ago. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was still pretty good from what I remember. I can see why people probably weren't like messing with it a ton. I don't know if this did come to theaters or not. I never looked that up. I don't know. Maybe I could pause the video really quickly and yeah, actually, yeah, I'll do that. I'm gonna pause the video and I'll look it up if it did go to theaters or not. How much did it make? Yeah, actually, yeah. Let me pause it and see it real quickly. Okay, I'm back. So the movie had a budget of 20 million and it took 29 so no, sorry. It had a budget of 20 million and it made 29 million in the box office. So it did make more money than what it was worth to make, but I mean not by that much. I mean, well, I guess only like 9 million more, which is yeah, I guess it didn't that's probably why we didn't get a Swords 2, which kind of sucks. That's probably why, but hey, I thought it was decent. I thought it was pretty decent. I did like it. But yeah, that's probably a good reason why we didn't get it, which really sucks. Okay, well that's number one. Number two, I also do want to bring up that I thought it was really oh no. Something just popped up on my screen. Sorry about that. But I thought it was really funny that no, I thought it was kind of nasty and kind of funny that one scene whenever Toby and Helgelica, I keep saying Helvetica, broke their arms and they had to eat their foods at lunch, and Toby was having a tough time because both his arms are broken. But whenever that happened, he was like, "Well, yeah, you think it's so easy? Why don't you do it?" And she was able to eat with her feet. Like she grabbed her spoon with her toes, drinking her soup easily. Then she grabbed a piece of bread, and she had a knife with the other foot and like spreading butter up there. I was like, okay, that's. I mean, like the soup is one thing. I'm not eating my bread with my feet up there. That's a little nasty. And then Logan came over. He goes, toe jam. What? I don't know who the writer of this was, but he was kind of wilding out. I'm not gonna lie. What are you doing? That is disgusting. Now he doesn't actually get the same bread that she used her feet on. Thank goodness, but still, I'm like, what is happening? That is disgusting. That is just nasty. I don't know who idea was that. And with that being said, I guess that's just about everything I have to say. I remember there was some other moments with Toby and Havilica. Oh no, yeah. I remember Havilica had her own random theme song. Like sometimes whenever she does something specifically, remember at the end battle or other thing like that, she'll have her own little like backup singers just saying like just singing her name, Helvetica Black. They'll just sing. I'm like, what? What's this whole theme song? What's going on? Like she got her own backup singers and everything. Whenever she would like bully Toby sometimes or whatever, like I said, she was like helping fight her dad. That was like so random. I don't know why no one else got a theme song besides from her. That was just kind of stupid to me. There's that woman whenever she got on the motorcycle bike and Toby was trying to connect with her, saying, "I understand how it feels not to be listened to," and she was also yelling at her dad that you never listened to me. I mean, I was thinking to myself now that I'm older, we probably should have gotten a scene or two that kind of showed that better to how he wasn't listening. In the scene that it did show, he really wasn't listening though. He really wasn't listening to her. So I guess that was good enough. But maybe we should have got like more of a better dynamic and scenes of that, and maybe some insecurities of the brother. Maybe we could probably see that too, but yeah, we never saw that. We never saw that really too much. Logie and his brothers. Oh yeah, I didn't really talk about their storyline either. Whenever he made the giant castle, they had to go get the rock because it fell down, and he was just that was nasty. He had to jump into the crocodile's mouth. The crocodile made a wish to like walk on two legs. The pterodactyl pooped on them. That's why I said sometimes you got to be Pacific. Other times you don't have to be Pacific. He says, "I wish something would come and take us away." The rock summoned a pterodactyl. Summoned a whole pterodactyl and grabbed him up. I was like, what? Oh yeah, at the end of the movie, the baby was still kind of talking in telekinesis form. So I guess the baby was still somewhat smart, even though most of the wishes got undone, but I guess some wishes just stayed. Or the baby being smart, the booger monster staying there. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know. That was kind of weird to me. Um, yeah, that's just about it. Everything I got to say for short. So I'm gonna pause the video one last time. I'm gonna go to the movie because it's free on YouTube. So I'm gonna go to the movie and just show like one scene. By the end of the movie, they do Angelica and Toby do kind of get together. They're kind of friends now. And at the end of the movie, he's narrating, and he was like, "My dad and Mr. Black became good friends. He redid his black box into like a green box for recycling. Yeah, I guess they have to be somewhat good friends now since he's gonna be part of the family." Angelica's like, "What? I never agree to that." "Oh, you will." I said, "What does Joker think he is?" He think he is the Casanova here. That was funny. And whenever he got the new alien friends, he like made his hair slick back. He thought he was moving crazy. Not gonna lie, the bullies were kind of walling out, throwing rocks at him. Like, yo, you just doing too much. Like, there's no reason to. I mean, obviously they were bullying him because of Havelica. But still, man, y'all just going crazy. And she was even there that day. Like what? And then whenever he bullied him at the party, she got mad. Like, "Oh, you're so stupid. You've been telling me to bully this guy every day. What am I supposed to do now?" I'm like, what? What am I supposed to do? It's just so this is so stupid. Or the boss being dumb. Like, okay, you're team leader A, you're team leader B. Whoever doesn't get the bonus or whatever, I forget what it was, but whoever doesn't get it gets fired and their families. We're married. So if I lose and she wins, I get fired and she gets fired too? Of course not. But we're married. So you say whoever loses gets fired and their family, we're the family. Make it up yourself. I'm like, this just drinking or something? It's like, what's this? Oh boy, these jokers, man. I don't know what's wrong with them. Okay, yeah, this is everything I have to say. So yeah, I'm gonna pause it and show a scene from the movie, and then we'll be done with Swords 2009. I haven't thought about this movie in so long. I'm not gonna lie, I just randomly thought about it like 2 weeks ago. It was like just in my mind. I'm like, Swords, what is that again? Oh yeah, The Rock. I'm like, oh yeah, the Rainbow Rock. I remember that movie as a kid. I get looked it up when that movie come out. What? It's 2 weeks from now? That's kind of crazy. Like just so soon. Like I just like thank God. I like just had it pop in my head 2 weeks ago so I could remember to make this video. I just want to make a quick little video to talk about a childhood movie that I just loved as a kid. It was a pretty good movie. I gotta buy another DVD. I don't know what a DVD is from all these years ago. I gotta buy another one. It's probably cheap on Amazon though. It's an old movie, like I said, 2009. It's 2009. I was 8 years old. That's so crazy. 8 years old when I watched this movie. Okay, let me pause it. Oh, sorry, let me pause it. Okay, here's the giant like monster fight scene I was talking about whenever he turns into the thingy. And I forgot to talk about that one little callback in the movie. Whenever he gets his braces off, Toby, he licks his teeth to like rub it in Havelica's face because he's also wearing braces. And then at the end of the movies, he does it. And then at the end, but he does the same thing to him too, rubbing into his face. Then by the end of the movie, at the very end, they both just smile at each other with their braces on. That scene was kind of nasty to me too. Whenever he's breaking down how to, use braces, I was like, I really hope I never get braces in my life. I never did. I was close. I almost had to get braces, but they said never mind. Like maybe like a month or so before I had to get my surgery. Thank goodness though. I don't know why they said never mind. I mean, all my teeth are fine. I think it was like this tiny little section that's a little off, but it kind of fixed itself. Which thank goodness I couldn't do braces. After watching this, I'm like, yeah, all the stuff he had to do to clean his teeth with the braces. I'm like, man, that is a lot. I mean, let me just brush my teeth. That's a lot he has to do, man. And then also watching what's that cartoon? Brace Face. After watching that, I was like, oh no, please don't let me have braces. I was like, please, please. I did not want no braces, man. But okay, let me go back to the actual movie. Sorry about that. I can't show the movie for too long. I'll get in trouble. So I had to go back to some gameplay to say all this stuff. So I'm gonna show Toby and Helvetica, and then I'm gonna show the ending scene whenever they're walking away. My wish is to be in a blockbuster movie. Yeah, right. All right, man. It was really sweet the little arc that the mom and dad went on to like be more communicative to each other and love each other more. All right, like, share, subscribe. Hope you all have a good old day, and I hope you have a God bless day too. Bye bye.